she has to be feeling a little better after a couple of victories.
And again, a lane breakdown now for both games that she has won. Once again, still pretty even. Lane 42, 7 strikes. 41 seems to be hooking a little bit earlier. She has gone Brooklyn a couple times. Again, could have just really been errant shots.
A little extra time here to start the semifinal. Obviously, if she wins this one, she'll have the opportunity to bowl for her first ever LPBT title. It's not going to be an easy road. Aleta Sill and then Leanne Barrett.
Nice opening shot, little high, 4-pin. The regional program is really turning out to be a very successful feeder into the ladies tour, Denny, and gaining that experience and trying to come out and win the national titles. Kim Berke already with 3 regional titles.
I think one of the things that really helps is the opportunity to bowl against some of the better touring pros in many of those events. So you get a little taste of the competition before you come out here on the national tour.
Exactly. You're not so intimidated when you step out on the national level because you've got the format down, they're crossing your paces, this type of thing.
Aleta Sill averaged 211 on this pair of lanes throughout the week from Dearborn, Michigan. And a good opening shot, but a solid 7-pin.
Always a very serious player. You will not see too many smiles from her, whether she's striking or not. If she's striking, she just gets a little bit more fierce.
But doesn't react much either way. If she doesn't throw a good shot, you don't see much along those lines either.
No.
Pretty businesslike.
And Aleta, the only left-hander on the telecast, pushes the ball very low, not much of a push away. She has a little crook right here in her elbow, a little bit of a bent elbow. She's in good position. Now she comes through, her elbow is still bent. Straightening, nice knee bend, nice follow through.
The left-handed wrist problems well documented through the years, tendon damage. I talked with her just prior to the show here this evening, and surgery not necessarily required, although the tendons are always going to be sore as long as she's bowling.
Well, that's right. She said she laid off most of the summer, picked up a ball around mid-August to start preparing for the fall tour. She said again that exactly what you mentioned to me. The problems will always be there, and they hurt when she bowls.
Right. Has to constantly ice and work on that wrist. Doesn't make it much fun. Still looking for a strike here in the semifinal match. Kim Berke trying to provide that, and she does with a beautiful shot on lane 42. I think she's in the midst of enjoying herself here this evening.
I would venture to say so. Throwing the ball extremely well.
Once again, the deep breath. The thing that's amazing, the collegiate players, the programs are getting so much better, the coaching so much better. I mean, these players are prepared when they get to this situation. They've gone through that pre-shot routine millions of times.
They're teaching them every aspect of the game, not just lane conditions, but the mental aspect as well. And it's very critical when you get onto the national tour.
I guess there's two ways to look at that as well. I mean, you came right out and started bowling on the national tour, and your experience wasn't learned at the collegiate level, but it was the school of hard knocks against the best players in the world.
It was much more costly.
There you go, too. But you probably were a quick learner as well in that situation.
You are when you have to be.
You don't have much choice. Baby split on the right-hand lane for Aleta Sill.
Plus, it's also nice Kim has a degree to go with those years that she was able to bowl. She has a degree in business management. Again, something that she can fall back on when she's no longer competing.
Or what that does in some cases, too, is it actually helps in terms of longevity. If you get involved in other projects, business at home, you can maybe bowl part-time, bowl the tournaments in your region, keep your hand in the national tour, but it's not what you're going to do for a living.
Take a look at how she shoots this 2-7. It's picture perfect. She shoots it from the right side, puts the ball right between the two. And Aleta Sill still looking for that first strike here in the 4th frame.
Trying to shake out the 7. Gets a little bit of a wiggle, but it stands tall on the left-hand lane, making those minor adjustments. There you see a little eyebrow shuffle there. She knew there was a pretty good shot, and the 7-pin was supposed to fall that trip.
Really dominating the tour back in the early 80s, Denny, or mid-80s, 84, 85. The Bowling Writers Association Woman Bowler of the Year.
Just 31 years of age and already with 13 years of experience on the national tour.
Well, there were so many Rookie of the Years and Rookie of the Year contenders out tonight. I asked Aleta, I said, who's Rookie of the year you came out? And she had mentioned, I think it was Cindy Mason. And it's around 1980, 81, sometime in that era. I said, was it Tish Johnson? Didn't Tish come out the same year? She said, yes, but I don't think Tish was Rookie of the Year. And she was right. I checked all the record books. Tish Johnson was not Rookie of the Year.
That's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, but the two players did come out at the same time.
How about those two the same year?
That's true.
Hall of Fame class there.
And Eileen Dorman, this on hand this week at Holiday Lanes. What a great promoter she is. She's sitting right behind Aleta. Nice lady. Very hospitable this week at Holiday Lanes. They put on a wonderful program. Many pro-ams.
Set an all-time record. Kim Berke cruising along, but a shot that goes errant left on lane 41. As a matter of fact, as we take a look at the Vice President of Domestic Sales for Columbia 300, Brian Flanner, on hand to mention that outstanding pro-am here, 1,382 adults and juniors. That sets an all-time Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour record for a number of entries in a pro-am. That is absolutely sensational.
It was remarkable that this area, they really get behind and support the women. It's just a real fun place to come to.
Kim Berke showcasing her talent right now. Off the 3-bagger, leads by 22.
Well, now we have a look from the right-hand side. Aleta Sill just picking up the 2-7. Here's Kim Berke picking up the 3-10.
And if you really want to have some fun, just look at the television, put a mirror up, and then you can make Kim left-handed and Aleta Sill right-handed and watch them make it the other way.
That's only in case you taped this show.
Through the nose, a problem on lane 42.
Well, really not much hope here in making this spare, but you would want to try to catch the 6-pin right there, send it over, knock over the 4-pin. But as you can see, that's a real difficult one. I'm not sure what the percentage is.
You know, I don't think Andy Verapapa could have thrown a shot that looked like that, but maybe he could have. It was the figure 8 shot.
And trailing by 36. Aleta's got to get something going right here.
All three of these matches have been similar in terms of Kim Berke kind of putting together a few strikes and gaining a lead, and nobody has been able to make any kind of a run.
Well, she has not been opening the door either, Denny. She's picking up the splits. She's picking up the spare. She's not giving anything away, which is, again, is the key to winning the matches.
Especially when the scores are in the moderate to mid-range. Don't need a whole lot. Anything 210, 215. Aleta Sill with a spare, but spares won't get it right now in the semifinal. She's down by 36 as we take a look at this week's pinpoints.
Pretty good, but this ball's going to come up a little bit high. Gets a pretty good break here. She trips out the 4 and the 9.
Back to live action. Another strike. She went on to throw a strike on 41 as well, and that's all she's doing right now.
That's right, and that strike on 41 was absolutely gorgeous. She flushed the pocket, and again on 42.
Has taken a pair of lanes that's really been a test tonight and made them look easy here in the semifinal. I wonder if Leanne Barrett is watching off in the wings. Possible 268 for Kim Berke, who started at 202, shot 238 the last game, so she's climbing the ladder in a big way.
Like you say, getting more comfortable, able to read. That's one of the first 10 pins she is left in the 3 games.
Carry percentage has been pretty good. You're right. When she's thrown a decent type of a shot, if she's hit the pocket, she's thrown a lot of strikes.
Very good.
I think the key is she has strung strikes together. The other players have had a hard time getting doubles and turkeys to kind of maintain pace.
Switching balls to shoot the 10.
Has put herself in a position to move on to a title match confrontation with a legend already in just 6 years on the national tour, Leanne Barrett. Aleta Sill with room for 222. Forget that.
That's right. No longer room for 222. Aleta Sill, highest finish so far this year, 2nd in the Athens Open, in which she bowled extremely well. She defeated Tish Johnson in the first match, 244 to 222, but then lost to Dana Miller-Mackey, 235 to 247. So some great bowling, but came up the runner-up that tournament.
So it's a 3rd place finish this week for Aleta Sill. Kim Berke from Beatrice, Nebraska will move on to the title game to take on Leanne Barrett from Yukon, Oklahoma. Frustrating night for Aleta Sill, who is still trying to regain that championship form that you mentioned. 17 career titles. Well, that's been 2 years now since she has won out here on the national tour.
Well, very different game than we've seen the left-handers that have been dominating on the tour. Tish Johnson, much more of a power player, whereas Aleta Sill is, more of a stroker, more of a roller than Tish.
One more strike, and it's 187. Kim Berke with a couple of turkeys. 6 strikes and 9 frames. See what happens when that arm swing loosens up.
It really appears her ball speed was much better as well in the 10th frame.
Good finish, but it'll be a 3rd place ending this week. Kim Berke, meanwhile, gets some easy shots in the 10th frame. She's done a nice job of setting herself up so the heat really wasn't on in the final stretch.
And whereas Aleta Sill got to decide who went first, who had the pressure on him, Kim Berke would have had the pressure on her, but she took care of that early in the match.
Always smiling. She smiles when she throws the big 4 for just a fraction of a second.
Well, if you have a 30-pin lead, I guess I would too.
Sure. This will be an interesting match coming up, because the question that you asked Leanne Barrett, it was a poignant one. It was because I can remember doing the shows with Leanne in the first year that she came out, or the first 2 years, she would be so nervous, and she'd bowl Lisa Wagner or a Cindy Coburn Carroll or a player of that stature, and you could just see her, wanting to get the best of them and rising to the occasion and shooting some great games. And you can go back to '88 when she bowled Aleta Sill, and she shot 279 to Aleta's 276. But now the shoe is on the other foot. She's the experienced pro that's supposed to win, and she's got a young challenger in Kim Berke that would like to unseat her.